so easy for people to take you down.
It is because Satan runs this place. And we
Right.
forget that God put Satan in charge of this place. But he didn't put Satan in charge of who? Us. So we are so unwatchful, so unready for people to come up and put that challenge on you. We're not ready, so we're not prayed up enough. See, just because you're praying on a day-to-day basis, or you're kneeling at night, or you may kneel when you wake up, you're still not on your P's and Q's to where Satan come up and attack you. We waiting on a sharp horned devil, red in color as we've always known, which I believe being in a pit of fire and brimstone, you ain't gonna be too, bright. But he's not there yet. He's just in a holding spot. He's what God said, placed on his belly from here on out like a serpent, unable to walk, unable to eat, only the dirt. So, of course, wouldn't he be angry? He'd be furious watching us walk around partaking in all the glory that God has given us. So he'll use people to come up on you at your happiest you thought moment, prepared for the day, and you'll see exactly how weak you are. It's not that person or what they did, but it's your weaknesses that cause the problem. See, if you're strong enough in Christ, you won't allow that devil to take you down. So you have to weather the storm. That's what they mean, weather the storm. Be ready. You're going to have a roof over your head when you know the storm's coming. You know you're going to be prepared when they say tornado's coming. This is not a warning. Get somewhere.
Right.
God don't give that. You need to be ready for the tornado at any time, because when he comes, it's going to be what? Great destruction, great sorrow, great suffering, great torment. So he said, what? Be ready. Stay prayed up. Keep a relationship with me. Trust and believe in me and know who I am and what I am in your life. He's my everything. He's my protection, my keeper. He's the one that wakes me and keeps me and cleans me and dresses me. Not the money that comes from the pockets. He gave that. If we can put our mind on knowing that God is the watcher, and that he said for us to be watchful. He's already checking things out. He see everything you're doing. He's the watcher. Should he be watching you? Or would you like for him to not look over here this time? Look over there at them, God. I don't want you looking at me because I'm trying to get away with something. If you're feeling that, then you know you're not on your watch. If we knew the precise date, we might be tempted to do a few things. Run to the church house, y'all be all gathered up in here. Lord, have mercy. Pastor, what we gonna do? And I'll be like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm waiting on the Lord, aren't you? See, we don't want to be like those disciples. We want to be better because we've learned more. We've seen more than they would have ever seen. They heard about these coming things, but they didn't, all of them didn't see the future. Only a couple saw things to come. And then what God do, put it in your mouth. Chew it. Don't tell them nothing. So we don't know what it's going to be, but we got a hint of what it's like through the Word of God, a big hint, a great hint in Revelation of what glory is going to be like and where glory is going to be and where we're going to be at the time. God is going to gather us up while all that turmoil is going on. We got that hint. So we need to be what? On watch for the coming of the Lord every day. So through our lives need to be lived as though we're being watched. And we're on watch and waiting for his return. Not, Sunday's coming, I'll get back on my watch. Or Saturday, I got to do a little bit better because I'm going to church tomorrow. We can't, that's not being watchful. Watching every moment of our life when we're awake. In my dream last night, I had 2 babies. I had twins. We had twins but they were so little. They wasn't Christian size. They were smaller than that, right in the palm of my hand. And it was nowadays. And I don't know yet what that means. But I know that I took it up to see Mama. And she wanted to hold the baby, but she has dementia. And when she got to pick up the baby, she didn't know how to pick it up. And she picked it up by its little head and broke its neck. Yeah. And killed it. They killed it. So I don't know what that means. But I know that was a horrible, tragic thing that was going on. And see, we don't know when tragedy is going to strike in our life. We just know that it's going to. We know that our day may be wonderful now, but what did you say? Being attacked by the devil on your good moment, on your bad moment, and especially on a bad time. You don't need Satan to send his enemy your way to cause you to say things and do things you would not normally do. But being a child of God is the reason it weighed on you.
Right. But I always say when it happens,
Yeah.
God's got me.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I don't even worry about it.
Right. You can't. You got to hold yourself. But that's when you are on your watch. By saying, God got me.
Yeah.
You're being watchful. Of knowing who got to have you, because if he don't, there you go. Yeah. And that's the way we live our lives. We're not on watch. God is at the right hand. He's at the right end. He's at the beginning. He keeps shining. And then he might just make a plan to cause a little turbulence in your life. Just to see if you're going to stand by him or stay on your watch.
Right.
So a lot of times when we get turbulence in our life, a little something to upset us, oh my God. Even when you know to calm down, you refuse to calm down because you don't want to. And see, God says, if you don't want to do right or act right, you don't have to. That's what we fail to understand. He loves us enough to give us a choice if that's what you choose. If you fail to understand and fail to listen to what's being taught, then it may be you that's not on your watch. It may be you that lose out on the glory of God. That's why it's so important. Now verses 40 and 42 is telling us about Christ's second coming. And that it will be swift and sudden. And there will be no opportunity for last minute repentance or bargaining. And the choice we have already made will determine our eternal destiny. See, the choices that we already made is already and have already determined our destiny. Can you imagine, aren't you sitting there spinning your wheels saying, okay, what choices am I making? What choices have I made? Because my destiny have been set by the way I'm living, by the things I say, the things I do, the actions that we put forth, and the non-spiritual Christianity that we spread out. Those are our actions. Those are the choices God gave us. Either you can go out and spread his word and save a soul, help to save a soul, bring them to Christ, someone that may be lost. And you go do that. Well, you've done exactly what God wanted you to do. You are making yourself right with God. But if you know someone is lost, you know they're in your vicinity, you know you have the option to talk to them, but you choose to talk about a bunch of crap instead of helping them to understand why it's important to stay watchful of God's coming and who God is and what he's going to do when he comes for you. And if you don't know him, just try to get a relationship with him through prayer. How do I pray? I don't do that. Well, let me tell you a prayer that God told his disciples. Our Father who art in heaven. Simple as that. That's as simple as a door that opens to lead a person to be watchful of Christ. By opening up the door, can God open himself up to them and walk in to God? We need to find ourselves in the room with God sometime. And to do that, deep prayer, deep meditation, and fasting. How many of us fast? Because of the Lord. Not because I don't feel good, so I ain't ate nothing today. Or because I got to lose some weight, so I ain't going to eat. Now, it's very important in our life to take a day as a church and say, okay, on this day, blank, we are going to not eat breakfast and lunch and dinner time, you eat. But at a certain time, before the sun goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you stay in prayer with the Lord. And during those fasting hours, stay in prayer with the Lord. And as you eat, ask God to bless the food that he's given you so that it will feed you and give you the satisfaction to get through until the next day.
Nourishment.
Yes, nourishment. What it takes, just a little nourishment. Don't take an old beast feast.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little something, a little bread, a little milk, a little water. Just a little something to feed your body so your soul can continue to stay fixed on God.
Mm-hmm.
That's important that we start to do as a church. Because why? God is coming back. When? We don't know. How fast, swift, and immediate. Not even time to say, forgive me, Lord. Do you know how quick that is?
Hmm.
Forgive me, Lord. Forgive me. Fast as you can get it out, it ain't fast enough. Still not fast enough to repent on the coming day that God chooses to return. So you must repent when? While there's still what? Time. Because what is it doing? Winding up. Every day I see that we're going back to the days of the Great Flood. When it was all kind of murdering, all kind of disgusting acts, all kind of horrible things going on in this world. Now, they're going into churches left and right and killing. And whole families died this time. 6 generations of one family died. The mother and the father and a brother and then his child and then 2 more family members. And then in one family, the mother laid over on her children, I think it was this week, laid over on her 3 kids that she could get. She had 6. One baby, 4 years old, got shot up 7 times. Right now, he's fighting for his life. One 4-year-old, she was so scared, they didn't know she was alive because she was still laying under her mama's skirt tail. And her mama lying there dead on top of her other 2 children. Do you know what the world coming to when we, and a young boy did it. And he said when he walked through the door, everybody's dying. Everybody's dying. So you don't know, as God stated, the hour or the time, whether it's he or this world that takes you down. It's moments and blinks of an eye when things occur in your life. When death comes, unexpected. What is Calvin's youngest boy name?
Andrew.
Is there a Keith Robertson?
Yeah.
Well, he put on Facebook that it's a death in the family. I don't know who's dead. Somebody, it might be a friend of his. But there's a death.
That's my nephew.
Your nephew?
Yeah.
See, think that my husband didn't tell me about, which would be
No.
also.
Keith Robertson.
Keith, yes. It don't matter. But anyway, this guy didn't expect it. He was just talking to whoever this person was. And then the next thing you know, they were dead. They were killed, or either they died. Because I didn't read it. I just heard about it. My daddy was telling me, looking on the page. It's a shame how we're taking one another's lives without being what? Watchful. Do you not know that to do these things that God is showing us that the way we live has determined your destiny? The murders, the lies, the promises we make to God that we break. Do you know how dangerous that is? God said don't make no promises. Because if you do, you got to what? You got to keep them. It's not you can keep some and get rid of some. He said don't do it because it's a sin. You have to keep your promises. So if you promise you're going to change your life and live your life for him, and you don't, you are already determining your destiny. I don't want to go to hell. I think a lot and I think strong about the things I do. And I say, well, you know you can't do this, you can't do that, or you can do this, you can't do that. And I say, well, be sure of all things. Because Christ has done so much for us to fall short. He put all the trust in us that he could put on us by mustering up himself to come and die for us. He didn't have to say that he was the one. He was the one that can release and open up the last seal. He didn't have to say that. He could have stood back and been like, well, God, ain't nobody here to do it. See, you got to understand, Jesus has always been here. It's not a saying, but just reading the first line of Revelation, when he said, the first book, page of Revelation, when he said he was making man, and he said he's making it in our image. Who do you think he's talking to? He was talking to Jesus the Christ, the one that has always been here. And the one that gave his human life to die for us and carry his soul and our souls to freedom, but we won't let him do it. Jesus' purpose in telling us about his return is not to stimulate predictions or these people that's telling us, well, you know, he's going to come back and win. We should be dead already or living eternal, according to the predictions and the calculations that they're giving us about these different dates that we've seen and heard of. It says the only safe choice is to obey him. And that's verse 46. Verse 46 says, it will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. I tell you the truth, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked and begins to beat is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and he then began to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. Don't people do that every day? They know that our master is going to return. But just because it's been thousands of years, that's not Jesus' time. Don't try to calculate our days with Jesus. Thank God that he has given us the time that he has, but we would not have been here to just worship together or see any of the wonders that he has put into this world. Whether you get to partake of them or not, maybe that's a good thing. Because maybe if we had all the things we want, we wouldn't be in church today, trying to find out about God. So sometimes God will hold up some of the blessings just to make sure that you're right with him, you're straight with him, and you're planted in him, and there's nothing that can take you away from him. Until then, God will help you because he loves you enough to keep all of these dangers out of your way. When you pray, you ask God to lead you, what? Not into temptation, but deliver you, what? From the evil one. You don't want to be led into it and delivered to him. He's doing all he can to keep you away from it. He warns us to be prepared. And he says that Jesus is asking us to spend the time of waiting by taking care of his people and doing his work here on earth, both within the church and outside of it. This is the best way to be prepared for Christ's return. So when people say, why do I have to go to church? Church it's you. You're the church. But when God says going to church in this word of God, he's not only saying that you, your body, has to be prepared. He's not only saying that, but he wants you to know as a group.
Fellowship.
Yeah. It keeps you being on what accord? One accord. Everyone understands. And you can seek knowledge from one another. You can stay watchful through one another. The church keeps you what? On your watch. Keeps you ready. Keeps you and reminds you that he's coming. But if you never went to church, you never dealt with Christianity, you never spoke to Christians, you're not going to be on your watch. You're going to be on you, enjoying this world and what it has. And when he comes swift and not even without time for you to say, I'm sorry, forgive me, bless us, Lord, love you, nothing. He already told you, be ready, because you won't have time for any of that. Just like the Hebrews. What did he tell them? He said, be ready. Because when we say let's go, it's time to go. Ain't nobody waiting on you.
Because you've been asking all this time.
Yeah, and now I'm coming for you. So be ready. Have your bags packed. Put them on your backs. Put your shoes on. Put your jackets on. Be ready. And they was ready. And they had that fresh blood on the doorpost, guarding them from that night watch. That death angel going through. So you know they had to be ready the next day. Pharaoh and his army was coming through to do some things. So I guess God was like, okay, it's time. Pharaoh's down. He weak a moment. We got his son down. He can't do nothing. Let's go. And they got on the road. And they was gone. And Pharaoh realized, wait a minute now. They leave and get them. They not going like that. And he sent his soldiers on their track. And what happened? God, the watchman, already had their back covered. And as soon as Moses cleared that water, parted that sea on God's grace and glory, they got through. And before they can almost get out through, the soldiers was coming. Right on their tracks. And what did God do? Uncongeal that water and unfold it back. See, God have you in your most horrible times of trouble. That was a time of trouble. That was a time of suffering, a time of mourning, a time of pain. But how many of us would have actually been ready? How many of us would have believed putting that blood on your doorpost is going to save your life?
Amen.
I'm sure every Israelite didn't have themselves prepared. Even those that went and made it turned around and went back. Went back to the torment and trouble they went through. Because they didn't have enough food. We don't have what we want. We don't have nothing to drink. And then when Moses gave it to him, and you know I told you how he acted up. He acted up. He couldn't even do what God told him. He wasn't even being watchful enough to do it easy so that the people would keep their faith in God. Don't make them think you busted a rock and water came out of it. Don't make God think that you don't really trust in him by not praying to him, by not acknowledging who he is. You got to discuss God. You got to tell who God is, because it's so important to not have anyone that may have a chance to be left behind like they were in the Great Flood. See, there's no Jesus going to hell and bringing you back out this time.
Amen.
Everybody knows who Jesus is. Everybody have heard of who Satan is and his demons, his minions, his dibbles, for some that watch enough. Everybody know, but everybody act like they don't care and they don't believe. We don't get right, we'll miss out. Jesus already asked us, spend time watching, spend time taking care. Do it, be prepared. He said, knowing that Christ's return will be sudden and unexpected should motivate us to always be prepared. But even though every Sunday we receive our motivation, how many of us are preparing ourselves for the way of God's return? Christ's return. How many of us are preparing ourselves daily, knowing that this could be the moment, this could be the second, this could be the hour? How many of us are taking care of our fellow mankind when we need to take care of them? Or are we saying, I ain't doing that again, I did it already, I'm tired? If God got tired of taking care of us through all the horrible things that we've done,
Amen.
where would